Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video, I will be telling you about what approach I used to follow for attempting mock test when I was preparing for my phase 1. You can use this approach in attempting any MCQ based mock test. The reason for bringing this video is that we all know that the preliminary phase of any IBPS based examination consists of sectionally timed 3 sections: Quant, Reasoning and English. And if you talk about RBI phase 1 exam, you have an additional section of GA. Now all these sections are sectionally timed. So as soon as the timer of one section ends, your next section begins automatically and you do not get to go back to the previous section. So many a times I have heard candidates saying that they ran out of time while attempting the questions, that they could not even go through all of the questions and the timer automatically moved on to the next section. So in this way, you end up regretting that maybe you could have attempted some more questions and maybe the questions which you did not get to see were comparatively easier than the ones which you were stuck on. So to avoid this mistake, in my mock test preparation as well as on the exam day, I used to take a glance at all the questions present in the section and then I used to decide the sequence of how I will attempt those questions. I will also share a demo in the later part of this video so that it is easier to understand and make sense of what I'm trying to say here. So before we start, I would like to say that I followed this strategy for Quant, Reasoning and English. I did not follow this while attempting the GA part because GA in RBI phase 1 has 80 questions and only 25 minutes. So if I go through all the questions trying to see which ones I can attempt and which ones cannot, the timer will automatically run out. So for GA, I used to start attempting straight away from question 1. If any question in between had very long sentences or the answer options were very long, I used to skip that question and move on to the next. And I would come back to that if I get a time. But I would make sure that within those 25 minutes, I have at least seen all the 80 questions that are there. Now, for the QRE part, there are two types of questions that are asked. One is a group of questions. There will be one concept and there will be 4 or 5 questions from it. Let's say comprehension in your English, DI in quants, puzzles in reasoning. And the other type of question is the standalone question where there will be one question from one concept. And oftentimes what happens is we spend, let's say 2-3 minutes solving a puzzle of blood relation only to realize that there were just 2 questions from that puzzle. Now this can be prevented if you have an overview of the entire paper. Let's see how we can do this. But before we begin, I would like to give a disclaimer to you all. The mock test which I'm going to use for demo purpose is from iExamB. Now there are 2 reasons for using this. One was it was freely available and second it was easily accessible to me. And I would like to highlight that this video is not sponsored in any manner. The only key takeaway that I want you guys to have from this video is the method which I'm showing you about how to attempt the mock test and nothing else. So please keep that in mind. Let's begin. So this is how a mock test starts. You see first question from English. It seems about error correction. I'll mark it for review because they usually come in a chunk of 4 or 5 questions. And I know these are all error correction. Now this is a fill in the blanks type of question. I'll just mark it for review. And now I know. Here I have a new question which is jumbled sentences. I'll mark it for review. I'll save next. Now, there was only 2 questions for sentence rearrangement. In this, you see you have to find an incorrect type of question. So, you'll mark it for review. And it is again a series of questions. This is a comprehension question. So, comprehension questions usually are 5 or 6 together. So, we'll just mark it for review. Next. And so you see it, now we are on 25th question. And these are all questions to check if they are grammatically correct or not. And now we have seen all the 30 questions. Now we'll go back to question 1. If it is an error correction statement, question number 1 to 4 are error correction, I know. Question number 5 is fill in the blank, so I know they are all of the same. If I want to attempt the comprehension question, I'll go to question number 16. Now I know that from question 16 to 24, there are all comprehension questions. So you can do like this. Now let's see for quant. So in your quants, this is your first question. It is kind of a DI. So we'll mark it for review, save next. This is an inequality question. Mark it for review. We know all these questions are for inequality. Then I see again a question of Venn diagram can be a DI, but we'll see how many questions we have. Okay, we have around 4 or 5 questions from this. Now this is number series. Again, we know there are 5 questions from number series. Again a DI. We'll mark it for review. We'll do next. Now this is a concept based question. It's just one question. Then again, these are all concept based question. Let's go back to this one. This is data sufficiency question. We'll mark it for review. It is again a concept based question, concept based. So there's just one data sufficiency question. Now you have an overview of which all topics have been asked in quant. So you have your DI, you have your one Venn diagram DI, then you have number series questions. So you can start by attempting whichever is your strongest suite. This is your reasoning question paper. So for reasoning, I can see that this is the first question, which seems to me like it's a puzzle. I'll mark it for review. I'll save next. Statement and conclusion question. So mark it for review. They are also usually in a chunk of 3 or 4. So 3 questions from statement and conclusion. This is direction distance question. Okay, so we had 3 questions from direction distance. This again seems like blood relation. 3 questions from blood relation. Now we have syllogism. Two questions. Coding, decoding. Mark for review. Again, puzzle. Mark for review. Save next. You can do this for all your 35 questions. So this took me around 2 to 3 minutes per section, as I was showing you how I used to do this and how you can utilize this technique. If you practice it enough, you'll get a hang of how to actually use this technique, and it can help you benefit to get an overview of the complete question paper so that you don't miss out on the easy topics. It will also help you identify which questions to attempt first depending on your strengths and weaknesses. So do give this a try and let me know if it helped. This was all for today. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon with another video. Till then, bye-bye.